Hi everyone and welcome to the tips and tricks series of German language. In today's video, I'm going to give you one hint regarding the verbs and nouns in German language. There are different types and categories of verbs in German language, and one category of verb is that we can use the verbs also as a noun. However, we have to keep one thing in mind, that the verb will always start with the small letter and it will be conjugated according to the subject of the sentence. And we know that all the German nouns, they start with the capital letter and they always have one article or one gender, and all those verbs which can be used as nouns in German language, they all are neuter nouns and they have the article thus. So let's start with the first example. I have listed here verbs and I have listed nouns that we can make from these verbs, and also I have listed few examples. In some examples I have taken the verb and I have conjugated it according to the subject of the sentence, and in some examples I have taken the nouns, and we know that all the German nouns that can be made from the verbs are neuter nouns, so I have treated these nouns as neuter nouns. So let's start with the first example. The first example is trinken, which means to drink, and it can also be used as a noun. When it is used as a noun, it becomes thus trinken, and we have to start it with the capital letter, and when it is used as a noun, it means drinking. In the first example, I have taken the noun, das Trinken von Wasser ist gesund. The drinking of water is healthy. So here I have taken trinken as a noun. Therefore, I have started it with the capital letter and I have used the article thus because it's a neuter noun. Now let's look at the second example where I have used the verb essen, which means to eat. Essen verb can also be used as noun, and when it is used as noun, we have to start it with the capital letter and we have to treat it as a neuter noun. In the next example, I have taken the verb essen and I have conjugated it according to the subject of sentence. Essen, when conjugated according to the subject er or he in English language, it becomes ist. So here we have used er ist viel. He eats lot. Next example is wissen. Wissen means to know, and it can also be used as a noun. And if it is used as noun, then we have to start the wissen with a capital letter and we have to treat it as a neuter noun. The example I have taken is ich weiß es nicht. So I have taken wissen as a verb and I have conjugated it according to the subject, which is ich, and therefore wissen becomes weiß for the subject ich. Ich weiß es nicht. I don't know. So it's a very commonly used phrase, I don't know. Next example is of verb rauchen, which means to smoke, and this rauchen verb can also be used as noun, and if it is used as noun, then we have to start it with the capital R or R in German language, and it will be treated as a neuter noun. So let's look at the example. Die Verwaltung hat das Rauchen verboten. The administration has banned the smoking. Now in this sentence I have taken rauchen as a noun. Therefore it's starting with the capital letter and it is using the article thus because it is a neuter noun. Now this sentence itself is a perfect tense, and we know that at the second position we have to use sein or haben verb depending on the main verb, which is here verboten, which is the sex participle zwei or the perfect form of the verb, and perfect form of the verb will always come at the last position. Die Verwaltung, the administration, has banned the smoking. Now let's look at the next example. Next is the verb lachen. Lachen means to laugh, and the same verb can also be used as noun. If we want to use it as a noun, then we have to start lachen with a capital L and we have to treat it as a neuter noun. In this example, I have taken lachen as a noun. So let's look at the example. Das ist nicht zu dem Lachen. Now, zu dem, we can combine it into a short form and we can write zum instead of zudem. Das ist nicht zum Lachen. It's not a matter of laughing. Now in this sentence we have used lachen as a noun, and we know that it's a neuter noun, and we have used a preposition zu, which is a dative preposition, and we know that the article of neuter noun in dative case is dem. Therefore we have used dem. Now let's move to the next example, which is schreiben. Schreiben means to write. We can also use the verb schreiben as a noun, and if we want to use it as a noun, then we have to start it with a capital letter and treat it as a neuter noun. Schreiben means to write, and if it is used as a noun, it means writing. If you receive some writing from any authority or from any administration, you can also compare it with the word letter, that you have received either a letter or a writing. Ich habe ein Schreiben bekommen. I have received a writing or I have received a letter. Now let's look at the example. Sie schreibt einen Brief. She writes a letter. Now here in this sentence we have taken schreiben as a verb and we have conjugated it with respect to the subject, which is sie, which is she. Einen Brief, she writes a letter. Now brief is a masculine noun, and here brief is something that is receiving an action from the subject sie. Therefore it is the accusative, and in accusative case we know that indefinite article is einen. Therefore we have used einen Brief. Now the next example is of verb laufen, which means to walk, and it can also be used as a noun. And if we want to use it as a noun, then we have to start it with the capital L, and we have to treat it as a neuter noun. So let's look at the example. Wir laufen durch den Park. We walk through the park. So in this example we have conjugated laufen with respect to the subject wir, which means we, and we know that laufen will remain laufen for the subject wir. Therefore, it is wir laufen durch den Park. Now, durch is an accusative preposition. Therefore, we will apply the accusative definite article for a masculine noun. Park is a masculine noun. Therefore, the accusative definite article for masculine noun is den. Next example is denken, to think. Thus, denken, thinking. In this example, I have taken denken as a noun. Therefore, it will be treated as a neuter noun. Let's look at the example. Er hat ein logisches Denken. He has a logical thinking. In this sentence, this part of the sentence is in the accusative case. And in accusative case, we know that if we use a indefinite article ein along with an adjective which is logisch, we have to use as at the end of the adjective, which we have done here. Now the next example is verb lesen, which means to read, and this verb can also be used as a noun, and we have to treat this noun as a neuter noun, and we have to start the noun with a capital L. Thus lesen, reading. In the example, I have used it as a verb, therefore I have conjugated it with respect to the subject, which is ich lese sehr gern. I like reading very much. The last example is the verb lernen, which means to learn, and this verb can also be used as noun, and we have to take care of writing it with a capital letter, and we have to treat it as a neuter noun when we use lernen as a noun. Thus lernen, learning. In the example, I have taken lernen as a verb, therefore I have conjugated it with respect to the subject, which is wir. So wir lernen Deutsch. We are learning German. So this was the tip regarding nouns and verbs. You can use certain verbs as nouns also, and whenever you use verbs as noun, they will be starting with a capital letter and they will be treated as neuter noun. Now your homework for this lesson is that you have to write 2 verbs which can be used as nouns, so that we can extend our vocabulary and we can help each other learning more nouns and more verbs of this category. Thank you for watching the video and see you in the next video.